Because today you were showing us how to welcome our feathered friends into our yards for spring and summer with your DIY bird bath.
Yes, I love bird baths. I've always loved bird baths, and there's something that is, a lot of people don't have them. They're so simple to make, and they make such a difference in sort of one's sort of environment. We have a shot here of, so growing up, Savannah, Georgia, we were just there for spring break with the kids. Mom has this huge picture window at the breakfast table.
Look at that.
And it's like a total like sanctuary for birds. There's the hummingbird feeder, then there are two like blue jay feeders, and then in the very back in the distance is her stone bird bath. I swear that it's been there since I've been 7 years old.
Yeah, I think we all have one. And anyone who grew up in the South has a stone bird bath.
Right. And it's lovely. You sit there with your like tea or coffee in the morning, the birds come, and it's just, to me, it's just this wonderful sort of way to connect with
And it's very nostalgic. It reminds me of growing up as a kid. So what do we need to make one of these beautiful
you don't have to go out and buy one of the stone ones that are not inexpensive. You can really use anything. Go into your cupboard, go into your craft room, your garage, find some sort of vessel and some sort of stand. Super simple. I have an array of them here. Have everything from just a ceramic pasta bowl, your tin enamel tray from, serving tray, and then two sort of metal hammered pieces. And then over here I have a plant stand, I have a pillar holder, a taper holder, and a pedestal.
So really just scraps, and you can make it as long as something is cylindrical so the bird can get in it, and something
that get it up away from the cats. So what you're going to want to do is just start playing around with your different shapes. Like, I love combining this and this for sort of like more kind of Grecian yet sort of modern.
If you have really small cats in your neighborhood.
Well, you cannot do this if you have cats in your neighborhood, right? But this would be great for a terrace, like if you lived in an apartment building, had a terrace with no cats, and it can even go on like a railing. Let's see here. You could mix. This one's metal here, so you can mix the metal with this, which all of a sudden that sort of becomes
beautiful.
I've never thought of them on this sort of level. I've always thought like the concrete ones that stand.
That's what you always think of.
And the concrete ones are fine, but they're a very specific look. The lovely thing about this is you can really create something that will work with whatever aesthetic you want. Now this actually is a wood candlestick, and you could combine that with here, and that all of a sudden becomes much more sort of country look.
Basically, all you do is glue.
Right. Well, what you want to do? Well, this is actually a great time to use the website that Paige talks about. Attach this to that, because you're dealing with different types of materials. So once you sort of decide, let me just set these down here. And right now I'm going to work with this, which is a plant stand.
That's wood.
And this is wood. Now the tricky thing, ideally you're going to find something that's metal, ceramic, or stone. Wood is tricky outside because it is ultimately going to break down. If you're going to use wood, just make sure you coat it with polyurethane, a couple of coats. It's still over 8, 9, 10 years. It's going to break down. But
regardless. But I mean, that's 10 years of use.
Right, exactly. And I'm going to use actually a copper bowl.
Now here's a hint too. Over about 10 years, I start to break down too.
So it'll be fine.
Don't be so hard on your bird bath, okay?
Everybody will be breaking down.
When you're picking your actual piece, you want to make sure that they're going to tie together aesthetically. So this has this black finish, which works well with the black finish of this. You also want to, this is probably in an ideal world a little too deep. So if you're going to pick something that's a bowl, just remember you don't want to fill it too high with the water, because the birds
Which is a good point. What is a good depth that you want to put in?
Ideally, you really don't need more than an inch of water, an inch or two. So something shallow works, and if you have something deep, do that. Another issue is that you want to make sure you're putting it somewhere in the south or here where it's hot. They'll evaporate quickly because there's not much water. So you do want to make sure once you've gotten birds used to actually coming there, that you keep it filled. A good tip is to put it somewhere where your sprinklers will hit it. That's what Mom does. So that the sprinklers automatically
filling it up. You don't have to go
every
out
Monday,
there.
Wednesday, and Friday get refilled.
But you should also probably keep this away from the bird feeder, right?
You want to keep it away from the bird feeder because you don't want birds bringing seeds and dropping them in, because you don't want the water to get contaminated. You also don't want to put it underneath trees that are going to drop a lot of like fruit or seeds. And also you want to put it somewhere where you can enjoy it. So sort of figure out those locations.
This is probably a ridiculous question, but are they actually bathing when they come in?
They are actually.
We talk about it, but I'm like,
well, they're different birds bathe in different ways. There are birds that bathe in dirt, in dust and sand, but they are actually
dry shampoo.
It's like a dry shampoo. If you have to wait between your baths, a little bit of
Exactly. Their feathers were getting oily.
And then For this one, because I'm doing copper to wood, I'm going to use Gorilla Glue on that.
Okay.
And all you're going to do...
I got to go to that site, by the way.
I know,
so many
this
things.
to that.
I have a
Brilliant.
table I'm working on that's wood to metal, like steel. I got to see what the adhesive is.
I wonder what that would be for steel.
Yeah.
Now, one thing you do want the little tip, which I like, is that you don't need to necessarily stop with one. I have one here that I already made.
Okay.
Let me pull it out here.
We have two. Should we take the other one too?
Yeah, is that why not do a group? So I'm going to set this one down here, which is already finished, but then come back and do a second one of a different height.
Oh, cute.
Which I think is great. It sort of adds that depth, and then you're going to get more birds, and etc. Put a bird feeder maybe 10, 15 feet away, and you're really creating this wonderful sanctuary.
It's like a spa for the birds.
It is.
They go take a
They
nice
get a little
bath,
smoothie,
they have something to eat, go back in the jacuzzi. They're having a great time. How would you clean this?
Well, it really depends upon the material, but you do want to clean it. Like this is copper, and it is going to tarnish over time, which I love. But if you don't want to, just polish it every now and then, but make sure you truly rinse it and get all of the polish out. The ceramic or other metal ones, just hose them down every now and then, a tiny drop of bleach in the water, clean it out, hose it down again, because you don't want bacteria to grow.
Or for it to be harmful for the birds.
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. But do it, and then crack of dawn, 6, 7 in the morning, it'll be like...
That's usually when they come...
They come out, and it's lovely.
Sit outside, have your coffee.
Have your tea, watch
the birds bathe.
Oh. This whole project is for the birds.
For the birds. I was waiting for that.
I took a bath on that one.
I know. Whoa!